back again from Orlando, Florida. Today I've got a review of the 2017 Yamaha FZ10. This is their hot rod debut for this year, and you would be forgiven to call it a naked R1. Even though the vast majority of the engine parts have changed, it is fundamentally an R1 engine in a slightly more compliant, very much more street-friendly arrangement. First impressions, big tank. Feels light but top heavy. It's nimble. The engine doesn't have a ton of torque right off idle, but it's very smooth. And once you start revving it up, you just have to slip the clutch a tiny little bit. And it goes like stink. The power band picks up. This is not a flat torque curve bike. This is one that wants to race all the way to redline. Okay, comfort report. Firm seat. Definitely feels like I'm sitting on a plank, but it's wide, it's supportive. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. It's a tall bike, but it is very comfortable just to sit here and ride. Obviously, it's nothing like the seating position of the R1, being a sport bike. This is much more upright. I thought he was going in the other lane. This is not a setup and bag. There is a slight forward lean. Pretty much like the FZ07, the FZ09, the FJR. Same seating position, same bar position, same grip width, everything. Follows the Yamaha family, absolutely. Bar itself, small, very neutral. We have basically no windscreen. That little thing is just for looks on the front. It's about 1.5 inches tall. We have a fairly large set of gauges, nothing like the R1, which is obviously full color, a lot more comprehensive. This one is busy. It's got a lot of stuff going on here. Now I'm in standard mode. I'm going to leave it in standard mode. I'm not going to be able to jump through all of its performance on this ride. Standard is going to be more than enough for everything we're going to be doing. Absolutely neutral handling. I'm at 7,000 RPM now. I don't know if you're going to be able to read the numbers on the gauges. Smooth as glass. Second gear here. And it just lunges forward, just touching the throttle. I mean, it wants to jump. This is not a, oh, it wants to go like the 09 Triple. This is, it wants to jump like the VMAX. As an instant. This feels like a large two-stroke engine. If any of you have ridden those, even if you're familiar with the watercraft, like the old GP1200 from Yamaha, the two-stroke version, this is that level of throttle response and instant power. Let's go up into top gear, into 6 here. 55 miles an hour, 3,600 RPM. Let's do a smooth roll on here. Not bad. It chugs a little bit. Feels like a smaller displacement V-twin when you do that. Not meant to do that. It wants to be revved up. 4,000 RPM. It wants to go. That's about all you can say. This definitely is an engine you want to keep up in the power band. Not a low RPM monster, but decent power. The one noticeable thing is slipping that clutch right off of the start. That's about it. Very reminiscent of the current R6, actually. Not a lot of torque, not a lot of torque. Oh my God, it just comes on like a switch. And that's it. Controls are very familiar, exactly the same as, like I said, the rest of the Yamaha family. Standard combo start-stop button, mode toggle under here, all your electronic controls. It is a ride-by-wire, so you get all the goodies. Throttle modes, traction control, of course ABS, yada yada yada. Standard stuff this day and age. Now, riding position. Legs are not as comfortable as I would like. I'm going to look here when I get to the light, but it feels like there's a plastic panel hitting me right in the upper thigh. I'm going to bet it's some kind of trim piece because I can feel a seam. I do not have a solid piece of tank against my legs. I would have to put some kind of pad on here. Let's find neutral. Very nice transmission. Yep, that's what I'm hitting right here. It looks like a rubber. It is hard plastic. That is absolutely horrible. Luckily, this whole piece here is plastic. And I bet it can be replaced with something a lot more comfortable. But this is right where your leg lays against. You got these hard grooves. Terrible design. Absolutely horrible. All right, enough about that. It's just sticking out like a sore thumb. That's why I'm mentioning it. Steering very light. I do feel the weight of the tank, the weight of the gasoline, and the weight of the engine block itself. Where the 09 engine, which is right in front of me there, feels very neutral. Doesn't feel top heavy, doesn't feel bottom loaded. It just kind of floats around. This one is pushing its weight higher. I'm used to it because I ride an FJR, which is one of the most top heavy bikes in production. So it's not a big deal to me. If you can ride an FJR, you can ride any kind of top heavy bike, believe me. But it is noticeable. And it does have a lot of mass right in front of you. Even though it's got gobs of power, you feel the weight when you're just cruising. Just floating in your lane here, you do feel it in the suspension. The front end feels heavy. So there is quite a difference between the triple and this 4-cylinder. It's to be expected though. I'm just surprised it's that big of a difference. Brakes are very good. I'm barely touching them and they are just pulling me right down. I do wish it had more low-end power. Whoops, that was the horn. I am quite used to bikes with more low-end punch and not having to gear it down. I like the option of either gearing it down for ludicrous speed. That was a little bit of a wheelie, unintentional there. Traction control is on, but in this particular mode, it will let you raise it up a little bit. But I promise I didn't mean to do that. They're kind of strict about that on these rides, and I'm not trying to be a dick. So let's go through the gauges here. Easily readable. It's a little water spotted. Let me just clean it off here. There we go. A little dusty. Obviously a huge digital speedometer dominating, and it's perfect. Easy to read. Not exactly high-tech looking. You do see all the segments. However, glancing at it, that's all you have to do. It works. It's not like the current FJR where they changed it up and they got those half-height horizontals. Now that was even a wheelie in second gear, just rolling it on, and I was leaning forward a little bit with traction control on. That came off the ground. Now that was full throttle, but that shows you how much torque it has once you get up in the power band. Now I didn't go to redline there obviously, but you can see once it gets around 7, it's hitting real power. It is quite switch-like though. It is not smooth, it is not linear. So if you're used to that, this isn't going to be the bike for you. However, if you like one that just keeps building, this is one to check off your list and give it a test ride. Rest of the gauges, you have a very nice, very quick responding digital tach on the top, and it's just a sweep display. No fault with that. Nothing particularly fancy, but it works. Can't fault it. You have a gear indicator, excuse me, in the left-hand bottom corner. It's large enough to see. I have no problem with that. Clock in the upper left. You have a fuel gauge along the right-hand side. And I actually like how they did it. They have the first segment bar is half the entire display. And then you get into the bottom half is segmented into thirds. That's kind of cool. I like that, rather than quarters. For whatever reason, I find that the first half of a tank goes a lot slower. I don't know if it's sender units or just the way the computers are programmed, but they're never linear. So maybe this one works better. Then we have a mode selector on the bottom. Oh, let's see what we can do here. Oh, Jesus. I can't even give it half throttle in first. It just raises up. I was leaning as far forward as I could, but once it hit 7, it was just bringing it up. That's all you can do. Half throttle. That's pretty fun. So pretty much the same, or let me put it this way. It is performing the same way as the FJ09, but with taller gearing. It's a big difference. This one is going a lot faster while it's doing the wheelies. You have a eco that flashes when you're being easy on the throttle. It's not an active mode. It's just making sure that we were all going through that together, and we were. Rider's triangle is very nice. The seat, even though it's firm, like I said, it's wide, it's quite supportive. I don't have any pressure points. I'm not going to be able to tell you if it's any good for a long distance on this little ride. But nothing is sticking out. Nothing's hitting my legs. I have no issues with it. It's almost a sit up and beg position. Like I said, it's the same as the 09 and 07s. So if you're used to any of those, you're going to be used to this. It's tall. I'm standing up and I have no clearance under the seat. Definitely a tall bike. Like I said, I've got a 32-inch inseam, so it'll eat up whatever you've got, unless you're a very tall rider. I guess 32 isn't terribly tall, but it's taller than most I know. Very smooth ride. Suspension is, dare I say, supple for this kind of road. I've ridden a couple others on this same route today, and I felt every little bump, whereas this one is very firm, very planted. It's point and shoot as far as the handling, but I'm not feeling anything getting translated up into the bars or the seat. So it's great for just tootling around town. If it had a little bit more low-end torque, man, it would be a really nice, really powerful commuter. Another cool thing is the fully adjustable suspension. And I mean fully. KYB up front. Similar setup in the rear. Pretty much you will be able to dial this into whatever your riding preference with simple tools. Mirrors are okay. I'm seeing a lot of my arm in them, but they're very clear. They are on the small side though. The largest section is taken up by my elbows, and then they go out to the points, and that's whatever's in the road. So I see the rider behind me, but that is about it. But there's absolutely no vibration, so I can't complain about that. So there you go, guys. Here's my review of the 2017 Yamaha FZ10. FZ10, yeah. I wanted to say 09. No, it's not 010. Yeah, I went over those bumps, no problem. It is very comfortable. I'll have to think about it. I want to say I like the 9 better, just for its low-end performance. I'm never going to use this kind of top-end power on the street. Anyway, thanks for watching. If this video sucked, give it a thumbs down. But if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And more importantly, subscribe and share it. We'll see you next time.